Hey viewer, welcome again to Zoom In. It's just another beautiful time that we come together and talk about this situation that has come to us. Today we want to talk about money management. We talk about this because people have to stay at home with no work. Others have to go home with pay cuts, others without any pay. But we have to live. How are you surviving? And to help us understand and to get deeper into this, we have these beautiful people with us. Let me start with Rose Mwaniki, who is a financial advisor. Rose, welcome to the show. We also have Ted Kenya. Ted Kenya, welcome to the show.
Good. Hello.
Hi. Then we have Lilian Migunda is also a financial advisor and an accountant. Lilian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lilian Migunda Awich.
Lilian Awich, okay. Thank you for that. I will be referring to you as Lilian Awich. Then, of course, we have Evangelist Jackson Saya. Saya, welcome on board and stay on board.
Thank you. Financial consumer.
Okay, welcome, financial consumer. Now, today, just as I've mentioned, we want to talk about money management. And I want you guys to just briefly tell us what you do in terms of this topic that we have, money management. We want to talk about people going home with pay cuts. Some do not have pay at all, and we have to survive. So let me start with, who wants to go first? Let me start with Ted.
Okay, sure. Okay, in my space, this has affected me in a different way because my work mode is kind of like that of a farmer, whereby I usually do proposals. So that's the time like I plant the seed, then harvest is when the money comes in. So generally part of as opposed to guys who are used to a regular salary, my money comes not every monthly. So before this, it had already taught me how to sort of plan, because sometimes there are delays in proposals being approved or checks being signed and that kind of thing. So that's about it. My work is I'm a documentary filmmaker. So my work falls largely around corporate videos and what you would call IME, which is monitoring and evaluation space. So again, a lot of now my work has also been in that side. In that regard, my work has been greatly affected. Right now, we're not, because of social distancing, we are not able to move into spaces to conduct that kind of work. So yeah, that's where it is. But the core of my work is creative. So it has got many facets, but my scenic route landed me at that place. So maybe I'll talk further about that later. So back to you.
Now, thank you, Ted. Rose.
Yes, my name is Rose Mwaniki. I'm a financial consultant. I support institutions in the area of staff and systems upgrade so that they can provide financial services more effectively. My scope of work covers the whole of Africa. So definitely the inability to travel, of course, is a big thing for me. Just before they announced the COVID case here in Kenya, I was supposed to travel. The same day I was supposed to travel to Rwanda, and of course I wasn't able to travel. But by the side, I also am a farmer. I do strawberries. And then lastly, I'm on a global campaign for consumer protection to ensure that clients are not cheated out of their money in the financial sector. That's me.
Okay, thank you. Lilian Awich.
By profession, I'm an accountant. I have worked as a finance manager. I've worked in internal audit. And presently, I'm a financial advisor and consultant. I advise people on how well they should prepare in their lives, how well they can use their money, and how well they can educate their children, have meaningful lives, and also how they can manage also into their retirement ages, in a nutshell.
Okay.
And I'm also a farmer. I am a mother of 2 girls, adult children, and I love the Lord.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Financial consumer, we know what you do. So just tell us about the bills to pay, food to sustain, yet there is no money. So just tips on how you would survive.
You enter a season of prayer and fasting. It was extended, makes you more prayerful. So actually, I wear 2 hats. A bit honestly, I am evangelist. Yes, I do a lot of itinerant speaking, most of which is free because of churches.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, I am a human capacity development expert. My background is in the life sciences, but I've transitioned over the past years into the subdomain of learning science. So I create learning experiences and I facilitate the same. And of course, the current situation has really affected people like me in the training space, because most companies were not very good at consuming digital experiences. So they had been very physical experiences. And so now we're in that bit of transitioning. So that happens. But the one thing I had learned already in setting up the systems was a concept called runway. So runway is just the amount of money you need to keep you going for an amount of time, both on your business side and on your personal side. So it's a nice concept. But besides that, yes, some of us are just consumers who understand pesa ya maziwa, pesa ya mkate, and how to move next. Maybe I need to listen more to Mrs. Awich to tell us how to save more of that money. But on the flip side is, whereas the current situation is locking traditional ways of making money, in my industry, in Ted's industry, we are beginning to see the switch to the digital side, which will be probably the next frontier that I am preparing for to plug in a bit more better.
Okay. I want to bring in Rose Moniki, the financial advisor. And Saya has mentioned something that I want us to develop and even talk about further. The runway, the amount of money you have to push you through to some point. People are not going to work. Some people don't have savings. So how do they survive? How would you advise? How would you advise them in these times?
You know, that's truly a difficult question to answer, because emergencies are supposed to be prepared for before they happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely when you ask somebody, then what can you do while you don't have that saving, you are not going to work, you have a cut on your salary, it becomes very difficult to really help such a person. But if the person, for example, has a skill, they can still do something. I tell you, where I'm living, I am seeing young people bringing in food in and out. So they are the ones who are delivering for, they are just called, they bring in food. I have seen a lot of that. So such a person, even if they have just a little amount to go to the market and bring what is needed, they can make a living out of it instead of really being down there. I have also seen people who are very sensitive to coming in very quickly, have taken up like on developing products for this season. I have a friend who is doing the face masks. And he's making so much money. In fact, I was telling him, this seems to be a good thing for you. And he didn't put in much. And he's telling me he's doing very well. And then selling them, through the platform, through the phone and all. And of course, there are people right now who are doing hand sanitizers, and they say they started very little. So I think what we need to tell people is that this is not the end. you can always come out. And many people think that you can go into an enterprise with money. Sometimes you even go and pick up those fruits and deliver them, and you are able to make a living. But for the ones who have a cart, I want to talk to the ones who have a cart. The little you have, work with that. Work with that. You know, if it means if you have been eating 2-3 meals, you can eat 2 and you still survive. So they can still work with that. That's what I can say for now. Okay. But for future, I have a lot to say, of course.
Okay, we'll definitely look for you in future so that you tell us more. Ted, you briefly mentioned about your runway. So tell us more. Do you also have skills apart from documentaries and films that you produce? Now that you're not able to do them, what do you do?
Yes, and I think for me, just before I come to answer that, just adding to what Rose mentioned, I think also for me in such spaces, it's important to just first of all lose weight. You move faster when you do that. So
did you get that?
Yeah. And this weight, other than your physical weight, could be bills weight. Like there are many things. Like if I'm, that Nairobi can get you into many subscriptions of things or gym memberships, and banks for all manner of things like that. So those are first of all, just lose weight. If it's, I know we're speaking to a mixed multitude. There are people who possibly had just finished college and began working and have just moved out to an apartment. And now this has hit them. I think it's okay to go back home. Like, just go back home and work. It's not safe to you're right and to went back home. So for people who that applies to. And back to me. As a filmmaker, I have many skills. It's creative that got me here, and that means design, animation, video editing. Basically, I've gone through the paths of production. But while in those spaces of production, I've learned a lot about, that's very corporate. But I figured out at this time, I think people who are in retail are more advantaged. So now in this case, I have my skills. What I've been able to learn is I've been able to support my wife, who deals with a lot of retail products in terms of the aspects of marketing, distribution, efficient, just ways of getting her products out to market more. So she has more hands on deck. Then on my side, because that's not something that takes all my bandwidth in terms of my capacity, I'm still developing proposals. I'm still developing, we're still keeping links warm with clients, letting them know, because not all work requires people to go on the field. There's some footage that I already have, sometimes may require it to be re-edited, to be cut to in a different way, or there's a way to tell, like now we're brainstorming with a certain client about how to tell a story, which we're trying to, with all these safety protocols in place without putting the crew that I would go with on ground in danger, or even, just finding ways about that. Then it comes in the areas of illustration and animation, like this, being able to still to coordinate that. So that side of it, being able to understand it has really helped. I've had a lot of interest in agriculture for a bit, and I had not yet started, but it's also given me more. This is one of those things that has just now affirmed my desire to move away from things that are dependent on electricity as part of diversifying, because Nairobi has taught me this, and this is a well-learned lesson in terms of diversification. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay. Lillian, do you also lose weight? Have you engaged the survival mode button?
Thank you. There are lots of things people can do during this time, because this is a situation that most of us had never imagined. And therefore, it has caught a lot of us with surprise. We find that, when you have been served with a pay cut or even loss of job, there'll be a lot of negative feelings that go into your mind. But I would advise that don't be in that space for too long. You must strive to be ahead of the game. Don't go, woe ye. You can survive. I get a lot of fortification in the word of God that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Yeah, that strengthens me. Yeah, and I make it a reality. if there's a time to trust in God, it is this particular time.
Amen.
Yeah, because God can make things new in your life. And then I'm not preaching, but this is what my starting point really
You're almost
is.
igniting my brother Saya to say a call.
I know. I'm just going to where he loves.
Yeah.
And then I also say, there's nothing new under the sun. This thing has happened, and we can now, it has come so clearly that it happened in 1908, the Spanish virus, yeah? And therefore, there is no temptation that has overtaken you except it's common to man. And God is faithful and will not tempt you beyond your endurance. But when you are tempted, you'll find a way out, isn't it?
Yeah.
And therefore, some of the way out is budget cuts. You have to categorize your expenses on, your needs and wants. You have to know the basic needs, which is food, shelter, and clothing. And these expenses, you will categorize them further. They are fixed expenses, like rent. You really must pay your rent. If you have a situation where you are paying service charge, you must pay your service charge. I can see some people are told, the president was trying to talk to landlords that, you can hold on to these people, your pay, so that it's not done just now. But, a debt is a debt. So I would advise people in so much as is possible that they pay their rents, because deferring it doesn't make it go away. Debts never go away. You have to pay them. So so much as is possible, you pay your rents and service charges. Then we shall go to the semi-variable expenses, like water and electricity. There's a fixed amount that you have to pay on water and electricity, but there is a part of it that is controllable. You can now switch on the lights only when you need it. Use your water carefully, yeah? And when you use it carefully, the bills will come down. If you are people who like using the cooker for baking and stuff like that, reduce your baking, so that your bills don't go up. So insofar as possible, reduce your bills. Then we'll go to the food bill itself. Now, this is I don't think it's challenging as such, but we must now learn to live lean. If you had chapati, rice, ugali, and you are buying it from the shop, decide where you are going to buy your things cheaply, more affordably. Move from buying meat, chicken. They are expensive. There are cheaper forms of proteins that you can get. I remember I don't really like omena, omena and dengu. But as I was bringing up my children, those are meals that I had to put on my table, because you don't know where life will take you. Yeah. And now it comes handy. It's a lot easier, and I can eat them without fear, but I never really used to like them. So those are meals that are cheap and very, they're affordable, and they can still do what it takes. And Rose also mentioned that there are times you don't have to have 2 meals, 3 meals as usual. You can end up with 2 meals. You can also take time to also reduce your portions. If you look at the foods we eat, it's a lot without saying too much. Now we can eat less meat. We can also have healthier times. We have, you can drink the drinks that we have, garlic, turmeric, and all those things. You will have a healthier body with exercising as well. Then also the other thing that we must do is look for ways to earn extra cash. Finishing extra cash. Yeah. Yes, you must earn extra cash. I had fish that was in Usenge, and this fish we couldn't get anybody, to buy it. But today, now this fish has to come to Nairobi, and my daughter sells it out. I see people making also neat stuff, and there are many, many other ways. You can teach people online. You must increase your financial base.
Okay, now I want us to move a notch higher. I want us to talk about the plans, the future plans. This comes the budgeting and stuff. But before that, I just want us to, maybe if there is anyone who has an experience of reaching out to people who they are within us. Maybe they are our neighbors, they are our church members, they are our workmates, but they are not able to get food. How do we reach them? I have seen some churches coming up with very nice ways, pay bills and stuff like that, so that they can reach out to others. Anyone with an experience of reaching out before we talk about the future plans, now that we have this?
Dave, from my
yes.
Okay. Let me start with Rose, then I come to Saya.
Okay, ladies first.
When there is no danger.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. I worship at Parklands Church, and we have started a program to help all those people who are not able to have food, and we are also helping them with rents. You know, we are paying their homes. We are paying for their houses, and truly, we realize that if we leave them, you know, they will not be able to shout and say. So what we did first was to do a head count of all those people who are in need and who are not completely working. Those ones who are not working, they don't have any savings, they don't have food. So the deacons went out and identified those people. Of course, they were asked to identify themselves, and then the deacons, of course, did the due diligence. And then we opened an account for that. And so every week we put in money, and at the end of the week, food is bought and distributed.
Okay.
Of course, we know that will not continue. So we are now thinking of what to do, and I'll be talking about that. So yes, in fact, at church, we have a program. So we pay their rent and we give them food so that at least their families can survive during this time.
Okay, we'll come back to you and you will tell us what is the future. Saya.
Yes, tell us what to do.
Two things I've seen happening in my state. Safaricom have this thing where with your bonga points, you can buy different food packages. So what the estate did is, because we have a lot of guards, the people who help, so members we've been contributing our bonga points to be able to get care packages for the guards, because, you know, they almost fall under the category of day earners. And then secondly, on my own level, is I have a vegetable patch at the back of my house. Yes, I am a farmer here, and I'm also a fruit farmer outside of Nairobi. So it's amazing how much your small vegetable patch can actually produce when you're alone. So what I've done is just called in people who need vegetables, whether it's the lady who helps me clean or a few of the guards, and just told them, have as much as you want, you know, and be able to take. And the beauty is, in under a week, you have the same problem again on your hands, more vegetable than you require. So I've seen those two, and it's been very rewarding to both give and to see people being benefited of the same. I'm now waiting for my avocado tree and loquat tree to begin producing fruit so we can be able to share the same.
When can I visit you?
No, not you, Dave.
Okay.
The needy.
I would like to share something.
Yes, Lillian, go on.
I worship in Nairobi Central SDA Church.
Yes.
And we have also a committee that has been formed under the name CARE. Yeah, and this committee is made up of some elders and various departmental heads. You know, we have the singles represented, we have the deacons, we have the women ministry, we have the AMO, we have the youth that are represented in this. So since it's also inclusive, we meet every so often, of course, virtually, you know, by Zoom. And every department brings in people that require help. And we are able to give them, you know, food, medicine, rents. And we decided that we would not give them items, you know, food items. because of the COVID situation.
Yes.
You know, that doesn't allow us to give them food. So we as a committee will assess every need, and then we minister to the needs cash form, so that we give them also the leeway to buy exactly what they need. Because you might find that you have given somebody a package of unga, oil, and maybe sugar, and that is not really what their need is. So we agreed that we should give them some money, cash, you know, as not cash, but, you know, via M-Pesa. And on the personal level also, what we do, because I have those, you know, there are people who eat flesh, and because I have the fish from my farm in Usenge, anytime it comes, you make sure that you share with the people around us who are the watchmen, and then members of the church are also encouraged to contribute towards this kitty care.
Okay. Lillian, next
Thank
time
you
the
very
fish is coming from Usenge, remember they passed through Kisumu before they reach Nairobi. So
You are
give
the
a
fish
shout out.
man.
Now, Ted, would you want to mention something about reaching out, or we move to another subtopic?
Yeah, I think for me, okay, other than the church, because I mean, they've got the organized channel, which is, I mean, sending whatever I'm able to have to the church to go through the channels, which, because I have fellowship in the same church with Lillian, so that is that aside. But I've also been able to reach out with friends who have hit out. Basically, just like sometimes it depends on which place you are in. I had a friend who had done a really, what do you call it? He had tied up all his capital because you know it's like a farmer. You put in your capital knowing that it's going to come through. So just being able to now help them walk through that place. It can be a bit freezing. You can imagine if just before COVID somebody had purchased a car or something like that. So you know, like they've tied in their capital and they're like, you have a car which was part of your tool of trade to help you do work, or cameras which are also expensive. You've tied that capital, and now you have looking at, because as in minus this, their plan was in order. Then now they are frozen. So being able to just help them to get, because you know, I mean, most of the people I'm working with, I used to work in the corporate space where the checks tend to be bigger than retail. So now telling them that, hey, right now your goal is to stay alive. So there are things that they're able to do, but they sometimes look at it as, this is beneath me. This is, you know, because I have one now who are like, okay, fine, I have my Uber, but So now they're taking shifts between him and his Uber person, so that they're able to work both of them such that he does not fire the other person. Just being able to, the whole idea right now is, if you make it through you've had a meal in the day, count that a win. But at the same time is to know that you need to continue moving, and you're not defined by like, oh, it has to be a check that is very big that I can do this. But those little things do add up at the end of the month. If you're able to, I've had a couple of people like that. Even something that people have not noticed, even there are people in the medical field who this has also affected them. Like they're not able to work. Their line of work has also been stopped. Mm-hmm. So some of I know a friend who we've been able to encourage and help her set up a baker. I mean, one of her hobbies is baking, and we're like, okay, fine, we have Mother's Day coming in, you make really nice cakes, and she's already got orders. So these are the things that people are able to, do to keep alive and to minimize the bills, you know, reducing all these other things. As other things I also do in churches, I'm also a fellowship with I've also been more or less assigned to the collegiate class. So with them also, there's a lot of people in that age group which I've spent a lot of time with, and also just helping navigate this other thing this time, just in terms of encouragement and being able to let people know that this is not. And that's why when I beginning earlier, I was talking about that age group that thinks that, wow, I mean, now I already just moved into my apartment 3 months ago, 4 months ago. How does life continue from this point on? Or for those things, if somebody is willing to buy the car you just bought 2 months ago, sell it. You know, it's okay. Like, just be very prudent. And now it's also a good time to re-audit what your priorities are and figuring out those things. If it means sometimes also moving to a cheaper apartment within this time, you know, those are options that people can be able to do during this. It also helps in terms of reducing the burden.
So thanks.
I think this is the time that people have to, you know, like calm down and have humility.
Yes.
You know, it has put us down on our knees to have humility and do any job that is clean, that brings money on your table. If you want to stay up there, I think you'd really like have it very hard. You'd either go on a depression or you'd be very sad and very unhappy, you know? So we have to change. It's a hard time that requires hard changes in our lives.
Okay.
Dave, can I also say something? Dave, can I say something to what Mama Witch has said?
Yeah.
Not only is it a time for us to calm down, to be humble, it's also a time in terms of work, because I do a lot in this space, to do two things: to think less through our labels, like presenter, producer, financial analyst, and to think more about the skills behind those labels. Okay, so whether it's critical thinking, care, compassion, think through the skills that are behind our labels, because that's where the answers will come and not in the labels themselves. And then number two, I also begin to realize it's a time where even within our skills, we need to quickly think digitally. So you notice that when you look at retail, for instance, they've moved from the traditional brick and mortar, come to us, and very quickly you're getting messages from your supermarket saying, hey, we will deliver it to you. It's them already realizing people at home, things are moving digital. So it is genuinely a space where individuals are going in that space. I do coaching. I've been doing coaching. And one of the things I've immediately had to do is to shift from a face-to-face. I'm now doing virtual coaching. And what I'm realizing with virtual coaching is, what? Currently, I'm having to work with individuals outside of Kenya. So whereas COVID has closed my traditional face-to-face training gigs in Kenya, it has opened up opportunities that now I'm able to do coaching for people beyond. So I think and I see it possible in very many other domains. One of the people I'm coaching does cleaning, and they're beginning to realize that they could leverage digital to extend their cleaning services even in this time. So I just needed to add those two things to what Mrs. Awich is saying.
Now, we want to talk about shifting gears a little bit and talk about the plans. Word on the street out there is kujipanga. Now, Rose, how do you advise what to kujipanga? We have less than 10 minutes, so I want us to take this very fast so that at least we give almost everyone a chance to tell us something about kujipanga. So Rose, go on.
Yes, I would want to address those ones who are needy, especially those ones like we have identified in our churches. We need to move away from, getting free things to working for ourselves. And so really giving them a rod to fish. And so we'll be thinking about giving them some skills, those ones who don't have, or enhancing the skills they have. And then helping them to set up. We are hoping instead of giving foods, we should be able to help them or to support them get the tools they need to use those skills that they have identified. And then after that, of course, help them with some business education, and then they can go out. Hopefully that they can be able to use those skills and earn a living for themselves. And so like what I'm doing right now is to train people on financial education. How do you spend the little you have? And financial education, of course, has just 4 things that even in this COVID, we need to be very, to return to God in tithes and offering. We need to spend wisely, whatever little we have. So you have to set up a budget for the little you have, and then still save a little. I mean, we've learned the hard way. Many of us have been found with no savings at all. And it's not that they have not been earning an income. They have been having an income. So we are saying, let this be a soul-searching time when you tell yourself, not again. So we are hoping that the financial education will help those ones who have, and even those ones who will start really thinking very seriously. And lastly, is to help people stay clear of debt. Because a lot of people are in trouble because of debt. They have lived above their means. And some for not very good reasons. I mean, you had the president ask the CRB, the Credit Reference Bureau, ask people not to pressure these people because more than 4 million Kenyans are listed as we talk. And so, and they are ordinary people, aged between 24 and 34. We are talking of a big number of people who are university graduates and what have you. It's really training people to stay clear from death.
Okay.
That's what
Now, Rose, still on you, your parting shot in the next 10 seconds. Parting shot.
Yes, a word of encouragement. Let this be a time for reflection. If you have not previously managed your income well, learn from your mistakes. Make a solution to change. Those still working, save, and diversify. Thank you.
Thank you. Lillian, what would you advise people to do in future? And then your parting shot. So I'm giving you 1 minute. So talk like a typewriter.
Okay. What I would say is just the same things that Rosa say. You must look for new ways of earning extra money. You must have insurance cover. You must maintain also your assets and your life, your health. We Adventists are blessed to have the new starts, nutrition, exercise, water, temperance, sleep, and all those things. You have to have them so that we have a healthy lifestyle. And at the same time, we must save. Saving comes very importantly, very, very a key thing in our lives. And we must avoid credit cards, M-Shwari, Tala loans, KCB loan. Fuliza, I think it's really the worst of it. God has promised that he will bless you. And we as Christians, we have been given that mandate that we shall lend to the nations rather than borrow. And therefore, we should not depend on lending or, being on just being lent all the time. And then we must avoid credit cards, absolutely. Credit cards is one stop that shows you that you are living beyond your means, and we must manage our bills. Today, I see a lot of young people who want to get rich very quickly. Let them work. Everybody wants to become an MCA or something like that. They don't want to work diligently for their money. People must work well and manage their bills, and also manage. They must have a difference between what is nice to have and what is a must to have.
Okay.
And then finally, also you must make a budget. Without a budget, I think it's just you are throwing your life to the bundles, And my parting shot is the Lord is watching. He's on the throne, and therefore it is just for a short time, and we should look at our lives and see that the end is near. The coming of Christ is much nearer than we first began, and therefore we should live lives that point us to the close of probation. And Psalm 34:10 tells us, the young lions lack and suffer, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack anything good.
Amen.
God bless.
Thank you, Ted.
Yes, well, I think in future you should let the young people speak after such kind of wisdom. Maybe I'm just tempted to give the closing prayer.
I should have done it the other way around, right?
That's experience. But anyway, all in all, thankful for that. I think for me, what comes to mind is, and as moving forward, is just how practical the Bible is when it talks about cast your bread on many waters. That's in Ecclesiastes. Basically just what Rose spoke about, just in terms of diversifying, and also just tying in what Saya said about it, not to be tied by those labels, because this is, I think we should be thankful to God that he allowed this to happen, because it's something like worse is coming than this. So in terms of a lot of things that we've held on to in the city, it gives us that understanding. Over time, you won't be able to buy or sell. So what will you be able to do at that time? In terms of where we're going to put our investments, it's a nice way to start preparing. What are those skills that we can be able to do outside of a system? You can't pray in terms of our devotional life. And I think the other part of it, maybe I would say, is for many young people, there's been this feast of famine attitude. I think this time it shows the fall in that when there's a big check, you leave, you're ordering all the highest restaurants, and then when it's bad, it's famine, like really. But now this one has really shown like what a real famine can look like if that has not been planned. And I think, and then in terms of now encouragement is, let's remember, our Lord's Prayer. God did not. For a long time, people have said, "Give us this day our daily bread." And maybe under employment, you'd always think that HR is the one who gives that bread. But this time is a point that you're realizing that God is the one who does give that bread. So to continue, God hears our prayers, He knows our needs. And I think in all things to be anxious for nothing. And Proverbs, all of it tells us, Proverbs is against the sluggard, because you're not, because you don't have a sure path to that check coming in. There's no excuse to sleep late. We still need to wake up early. We still have 6 days to work and 1 day to rest. So we can't have a whole week of Sabbath. It stops being Sabbath. So I think Sabbath needs to be a day of rest, and every other day we need to be working. So, and God will bless the work of your hands.
Thank you, Ted. Sire, you have 15 seconds. I know you can make it. You are a young man with the wisdom of the old. Go on.
2 things. One is, I think we need an extended session with the ladies on the call to be able to give financial education.
Yeah.
But every person going on ahead, you need to design to have your milk, your eggs, and your bacon. And I'm not talking about them literal.
Yeah.
I think figurative. Mm-hmm. We need to begin thinking about ways of income that give us a little daily, that's milk, that give us something more a bit later, that's eggs, and something that gives us in lump sum way later, that's a bacon. If we structure our finances that way, it'll be better. And the path to get us there is to think through our skills and not just merely our labels. Employment could help you, but however, you need to diversify from there. But in all things, be anxious for nothing, but with prayer and supplication, make your requests known unto God, and the God of peace will be able to guide you. So this season serves both as an education, but also it serves as a reset button to begin again.
Okay.
God is able to take us through.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for that exciting show. You have been so great. Viewer back at home, we are walking on a tightrope, and what we need to do from the advisors is to cut and save. I hope you are practicing that, and if you're not, start it today, because I am just starting now. See you for the next show, and keep safe. Above all, trust and believe in God. God bless you.